What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Cure Collective podcast. Good to have you back on for yet another short little episode. I want to start this episode with asking you a question. And if this question or your answer is similar to the question or statements that we tend to get from a lot of customers, we'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to hear your position, your why you feel that way and where that came from. So I was at an event 2 weeks ago. I mentioned it in the last podcast, and I spoke and shared about Cured's core values and our mission, and how you as an entrepreneur, the people in the crowd, can build core values for your life, your brand, your mission, and that can allow you to guide everything that you do. And through the course of the weekend and for days afterwards, I continually heard from people that enjoyed the speech, but also enjoyed connecting with and learning more about our brand. And what's true is there have been a lot of people that have stated over the years, and we see it actually on Instagram all the time, that have said they have been a skeptic. They have been skeptical about taking CBD. They've been skeptical about companies in the industry. They have potentially been skeptical about Cured nutrition itself. And I wanted to quickly sit down and record a podcast to try to understand better where that might be coming from. So do a little thought experiment myself, but then also ask you all, the listeners, why are you a skeptic? Why would you be a skeptic? Were you a skeptic? And answer why we are where we are and why we are who we are. So here's the truth. When we started, we knew that changing the narrative around cannabis and anything else that we've been selling, when it comes to functional mushrooms, when it comes to the education, when it comes to our beliefs in the future of psilocybin, psychedelics, and their potential, that narrative would take a lot of effort to convey in a way that is correct, true, understanding, inviting, and educational at its foundation. And we obviously started with one specific cannabinoid, and that was CBD. And we knew that just cannabis in of itself was going to be a task to help change the view and skepticism and stigma that's been created around the industry. And it's been fun. It's been an honor to be on this mission, because things that can help change certain aspects of our world and help improve our world, it's not going to be easy, right? Like, we signed up for this. So in the beginning, it was really difficult to first make sure that we were properly conveying the correct education to allow the consumers to understand that, one, this is safe, two, this is effective, and it should be something that you can explore without being skeptical. And I was like, so why are so many people skeptical? Why do we see people still post on Instagram saying, I was skeptical to try these products, but after hearing from X and X, or after listening to X and X, I decided to try it? And I'm trying to understand where that initial posture came from. And if we look back to the beginning of the CBD industry specifically, and we look at the years 2018 and 2019, and we look at the amount of brands that came tumbling onto the market, I think that we went from 0 to 1,500 or maybe 2,000 measurable brands or known brands in the course of about 2 years. Well, of course, people were like, where is this coming from? Like, are people out just to make a quick buck? And the answer was, unfortunately, for a lot of people, there were a lot of players out there just trying to make a quick buck. So I understand where that skepticism can come from. I'm really struggling with that word. So apologies there. But I understand where that could come from because there were so many companies flooding the market. CBD was everywhere. You saw influencers everywhere. You saw brands everywhere. You saw ads everywhere. And it was confusing for the consumer. So that makes sense to me. Okay, well, yes, there were so many players in the industry so quickly. Nobody knew where to go, what to understand, what to trust. And then when many consumers started to finally make a decision to try CBD specifically, they were most likely a lot of the times misled and disappointed because what was happening was there were a lot of bad players and it was easy. It was easy for people to make money by putting CBD on a label. There was very poor quality control. There was a very, very clear underdosing and maybe not even dosing of products where people would not be getting what they're paying for. And then, of course, it doesn't work. So it turned a lot of people off. There was a bunch of brands. It happened so quickly. Nobody knew where to go and what to trust. And when people finally did make a decision, then the product didn't actually work for them. So, okay, I understand the skepticism. And for you all, the listeners of this podcast, we would love to understand if you've been skeptical about our products and how we can improve our education and allow you, the consumer, the listener of this podcast, the consumer of our products, to be equipped to educate your friends, your family members, so we can expand and build our mission and help more and more people. But when it comes down to it, part of changing the narrative and part of making this industry what it should be and will be for a long time to come is we need conscious consumers as well. As a consumer, you need to know who you're buying from. You need to know the people behind the brand, how they operate their brand, how they make decisions on how to bring products to the market, and how they from a quality control standpoint, control how their products are sourced, ingredients-wise, how they're manufactured, how they have been shown to be what it is they say they are. And the truth is, a lot of us just don't necessarily have the time to do that. You know, if we think about just food on a day-to-day basis, we walk in the store and we see bright packaging and the packaging looks great. And we're like, oh, well, I'm going to buy that. I'm hungry. You see the catchy words and that converts you as a consumer. So marketing works, but the onus needs to be on us. I myself am a consumer. So when it comes down to it, what should you be looking for within brands? You should be looking for some type of quality control system that is forward-facing, that the brands have no problem displaying publicly. If you go to curednutrition.com, you scroll to the bottom of the page, you can click on Cured Quality Control, and you can see batch traceability records for every single batch of product we bring to the market. Now, I would argue that every single supplement company out there should be required to do this, because the truth is things like heavy metals and pesticides and microbial microbes can show up in products, not just in CBD, but any product out there. It's the truth from manufacturing and processing and being humans and particles existing in the air. And so the manufacturing facilities have to be well maintained, and they have to be operating to certain standards from a CGMP standpoint. And so these are things that you look for from a company to then say, hey, I want to actually purchase from this company. And then when you do decide to purchase from the company, you have to see that a product is effective to believe that this is actually what the company said it was, and then to become a continuous and retained and advocate customer of a certain brand. So efficacy, that wasn't existing for a lot of people in the CBD industry in the beginning because people weren't getting what they said they were, what was told to them that they were getting. The label claims did not match what was actually in the product. So again, check out quality control systems, check out ours, see how we're establishing it. Let us know what your thoughts are, and let us know how we can improve and show you more, because there are not actual rules, but we have followed, there are not actually like worldwide or nationwide rules that have been established. There have been laws on what is legal and what isn't legal, and we follow those, of course, but then state to state, the processing and the regulations are different. So we took the initiative and said, hey, well, we're just going to build out this quality control system. We're going to be 100% transparent, and we're going to show you the test results for every single thing that hits the market. And why else would people be skeptical? I asked myself. Well, yeah, so they see a bunch of influencers promoting product, and the truth is, I'm not going to lie, like we have had a lot of influencers, people on social media, people that run podcasts, promote our company. And there have been times where people have been rightfully concerned about what's being promoted on social media. So where do we get the truth about what actually a company is doing and bringing to the market? It's through word of mouth and talking to existing customers. So of course, looking for reviews is something that you could do as a consumer, but companies also fake that. So in a day and age where this curtain or this veil is being removed and so many people have questions, rightfully so, we need to understand what we need to be looking for. And when it comes down to person-to-person interactions and recommendations about a brand, we have a pretty large customer base that grows mostly based off of word of mouth marketing, as in somebody used our product and then they told their friend about it and then their friend ended up purchasing. So where do you hear about the product? How can you as a conscious consumer talk to somebody that you believe and actually know has a strong reputation and you can entrust in them? Those are the ways to be a conscious consumer. Those are the ways in which we expect you to approach us. Those are the ways that we expect you to approach any new brand, any new product that you're interested in. And then the last thing I'll say is, well, I think we can look around and see which companies still exist. Cured is 4.5. We'll be 5 years old in August of this year. And the truth is, a lot of the brands that popped up in the early stages, they no longer exist. So if you are skeptical, you have the right to be, but we would ask you to be a conscious consumer, ask the proper questions, give us a call, hit us up, and let us change that opinion for you or change that skepticism. And then also understand that we still exist, and we still exist for a very, very strong reason, and we are so much more than just a CBD company. If you've been listening to this podcast for some time, you understand that. You understand who it is we are, how we formulate and design our products, how we bring them to market. But the truth is, if I would sit here and not talk about these things, I would be doing you, the consumer, a disservice. So you rightfully should ask questions, and we actually really appreciate that. And then, of course, the truth is there's always going to be skepticism in new industries. As we create a new future, as we look into what we want our lives to be and how they will be different from the day-to-day now, well, there's going to be a lot of new ways of operating, and a lot of people are going to ask questions, as we should. But of course, sometimes the early adopters are the ones that figure out that they made the right decision, but they're also ones that took the risk right off the bat. So from an entrepreneurial standpoint, just know that there's always going to be people that have questions about you. There's always going to be people that are skeptical, but you as an entrepreneur, if you stick to core values and you have a very clear mission on how to build your company, operate your mission, and operate the day-to-day, you will break through that skepticism as we create a new future that is going to look completely different than our world looks like now. I'll finish this podcast off with a offer for just you, the listeners. If you go to the show notes and you look for the link under free Rise and Zen samples, you can try our top-selling flagship products that were designed by a clinical herbalist here out of Boulder, Colorado for daytime clarity, focus, mental clarity, mental and cognitive enhancement rather, and our nighttime relaxation and sleep blend Zen. That is Rise for day, Zen for night. And for a limited time, if you are listening to this podcast and you go to the show notes of the podcast and are interested in trying those products, you can claim your free samples. All you have to do is click on the link, $5 shipping, and the samples will be to you within a week. We're excited for you to try those and maybe break past some skepticism you had. Those were clinical herbalists formulated. As I said, they took nearly a year to develop, and we are so proud of those products. They are blends of functional mushrooms, adaptogens, and cannabinoids. So why be a skeptic? I understand why. I completely understand why. And we are so happy and honored to be the ones that are changing the narrative for so many people. And as I sat down to think about this podcast and convey, or have the desire to convey to you all an understanding, it felt really good to just think about it. Well, yeah, the truth is this stuff works. And there are a lot of people that have been given a disservice to something that is really powerful and will be around for a long time and will shape our futures and will help a lot of people. So that's it for today. Thank you all for tuning in to this episode of the Cured Collective podcast. We will catch you on the next episode.